So you need a nail fill. Your technician's busy or you're busy, life gets busy. What do? When you're desperate, sometimes you glue them together. Look at these poor grown out nails that need some love. Look at these. These are grown out 5 weeks. So what happens is the leverage is off. These need to be rebalanced. So in desperation, she had to glue them. I'm going to show you how you remove that glue easily, what needs to be removed, and what you can leave. Let's get started. So Liz, these are perfect. This is Liz again. You guys remember Liz from my nail renovation video?
Thanks, Suzie.
She's also a longtime client. And sometimes Liz is like, again, you're such a busy person. Sometimes you can't always get in to see me, and you're a nail technician. In general, if you guys are in the same position, you know that. So you get a little bottle of nail glue. I mean, that's what it's made for.
Yep, and I've done it a few times.
Yes, you have. And you got to just get by because you don't want to lose the nail entirely because that hurts too. Yeah. But glue doesn't always stay. It won't stay for a super long time. But it will hold for a little bit till you get in to see your nail tech or do them yourself. I'm going to show you today how to get rid of that glue and what to take off before you fill them and how important that is. A few of you I've noticed actually asked that comment in the questions. What do you do when someone glues their nails? These are a long grow out, hey Liz?
They are. About 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm. Now I asked her to hang in there so we could schedule ourselves together this day because you are busy and I'm busy. So we were trying to get together to do this. This is kind of good though because you actually had to glue them. So we are going to get rid of the glue. Now the glue has to come up. So the reason why she glued them, let's start right from there. Nails are built as a balance, and as they naturally grow out, that balance becomes off balance. So where I built the structure so it sits as a beautiful looking nail with the proper balance and thickness, it's now shifted. The whole thing is shifted. So depending on how long a person has them, and you have them a very normal workable length, but they're now 5 weeks longer on the tip end and they're less to hang on to on the nail plate. So now it's grown right off. If she was to let these go another 5 weeks, they'd be barely hanging on the tip. I don't think they would hang on at all.
Couldn't get that long.
And they would be completely grown over. A nail can grow from cuticle to the free edge. That's before the long part starts, just as it's attached to the nail plate. About 6 to, I would say 1.5 months to 3 months, maybe up to 6 months, depending on how slow the natural nail growth is. So if we never fill these in and never pay attention, they will grow right off. Mm-hmm. That's just how this works, which keeps me in business because hence the nail fill and my business relationship with Liz. So we are going to file these down. So I would always ask a client, do you want them shortened? So what I'm going to do is do the length and shape that they want, but I'm going to focus on this glue, and this is what I do. I wear a little mask too because it's a lot of filing. Now, someone did ask me, how come she ain't wearing a mask? Well, I'm really this close. When I'm working, I'm this close. They're that much further. The dust really doesn't get up into their face so much as it falls. It's kind of a heavy dust, so it generally falls and it doesn't bother the client. Okay, so, that's why I can't see. We're purple today. We're matching.
We are.
She's eggplant purple, and I just kind of stayed within those hues. So the number one thing I will do, let me just get that first. I'm getting ahead of myself. I will push back the cuticles because I want as much nail estate as possible. And when I push back the cuticles, I'm now seeing I can literally, looks like I got another week out of growth. So when you push it back, now it looks like 6 weeks. Which is all the more reason why it has to be filled. So I will do that on every single one. And I will use a cuticle stick. I really like cuticle sticks because they're made of wood and they're rather soft. You can use metal implements, just be careful, you just don't push too hard. Okay, so I don't know which one is the worst as far as glue. Do you know which one that you might have glued the most?
I want to say that's these two, because those are the two fingers that get used.
Okay, yes, of course. They're the most used fingers. This one I can really see it too because it's actually clear, so I can actually see through it. So glue, when a client uses glue, they sometimes use too much because they don't know. Actually, the less amount of glue you use, the better it will stick. And you also can't see it because it's clear.
No.
So when you're using the glue, it's getting everywhere. And I can even see how the glue has bunched up on the side there. You can actually see it right there, which is normal. It's very crumbly. It's not the means of wearing a nail. So you can glue it and it actually can buy you a few days. But beyond that, I wouldn't use glue as building a nail, that's for sure. And she wasn't. She was just trying to hang on until she can get here. So what I'm looking for is I'm going to take off the gel so I can get a good look. And I'll just remove this gel so we can see what's going on. Now, the reason why she was gluing it is because the nail was flipping this way. That's why she was doing it. It's going to do one or two things. It's going to flip off this way or it's going to snap in two. And you're more of a lifter this way. Yeah, usually because they're hanging on.
They do.
So for you, it doesn't snap so much on the end. It lifts off like a teeter-totter. Okay, so I am so tuned into nails. I can literally hear the difference. When a nail is lifted or it's attached by glue, you can hear an echoiness with the actual product. You can hear that it's not attached. So I will keep filing. Yeah, and I can see actually all of this is not attached. It's actually flaking off. Now, just as a little education, because that's what I do, nail career education, the reason why it is so important, and this is just a super, super important rule of nails in general, no matter what you're doing, what product you're using, or who you are, or what you believe in, you must take up any type of lift for a couple of reasons. It just looks ugly. The most major reason is because if you leave that bubble or that lift there and put more product on top, because honestly, I could just gently buff this all up and apply another pink product on top that's opaque enough you can't see through and cover it all up. It'll look beautiful. But in a couple of weeks, I have trapped possibly moisture and air and maybe bacteria in there, and it can fester and it can grow, and you're opening up. That's a whole other video, which we will cover one day. So my goal as a nail technician, from an aesthetic point of view, and to prevent all the ickies that could come, all the product, lifted product, must come up.
That's nice and
That's
clean.
like the number one nail education rule I can give you. If I leave you with anything of all the 300 videos I've done, that is the most important thing. And that applies to professional, or if you're doing this yourself at home. That is the number, no matter which walk of life you come from, as far as nails go, that is crucially important. And every nail artist should know that. Okay, so now I've got to find out where my lift ends and where does it begin. Now I can tell you this big swatch of glue here on the side isn't doing me any good. So I'm going to take that right up. And I've got to find the edge of this lift. Now, I know that Liz glued it because it popped. So if I'm just filing around the edge here, she's already told me, yeah, it popped. That's why I'm gluing it. So I need to find out how far back does that pop go. So I could ask her, do you remember how far? Was it like flipped right up?
No, none of them have
They
gone
didn't go
that far
far
this time. It was just enough for me to get the tip of the nail glue in.
Oh, okay. So you just kind of get that little tip in there and squeeze, and it just sort of floods in.
Blends in.
Oh, what a technique you got there. Beautiful.
Whatever works at the time.
Hey, man, you just got to get by. No judgment here. I would do the same. I honestly, if I was a client, I would be probably one of the worst clients because I'd be phoning my technician up at the last minute. Hey, can you get me into the next 5 minutes?
How many times have I done
I
that
know.
to
And
you?
that's why I never get mad, because I'm like, that's me. I would do that. So I get that. So I'm just going to file then, and I'm going to keep watching how it's, oh yeah, see, look at that. It's not attached. Woohoo, look at that all flaking. This is juicy. This is great.
Whatever I can do for you, Suzie.
You never fail to disappoint me, Liz. No, I love it. I love it because, an easy fill is I could just, fill it up and there's no problem. But if there's no problems, we can't learn from that. So I love this. This is great. Look at that. You guys see all that just flaked away? All that dried glue just flaked away. And I can see this is not attached here either. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to file more of this really flat. Now the client may have seen a little lift, but there might have been more of a lift than she was even aware. So I'm just going to keep filing here. Now this is a lot of work. Don't get me wrong. If you're a technician, when you get this kind of coming at you, if you're not prepared for it, it really can set you back on your schedule quite a bit. So if you're a client and you're doing this, just give your tech a heads up and let them know that you have glued 3 or 4 nails so they know what they can do with that.
I think I've done that to you in the past.
Yep.
I've said to you, it's true Lizzie nails. It'll be a while.
Exactly. And it's really great to get that heads up because then when you do that client, maybe you can, tell them to come a few minutes earlier, or at least you can, be prepared for knowing what kind of work is involved. And having said that, you don't really do that anymore. Mm-hmm. Liz did this specifically because we did a video and we were just waiting to let them grow out and hook up together at the same time that we can actually do the nails together. So I didn't want you to go to your other wonderful nail technician that helps you out all the time. So that's why we did this, for this purpose of this gluing video. So look how far back it's going. See that, guys? So now she said she held it so the glue kind of seeped in there. So I don't know how far back it went, but it's really lifted quite far back here. So how far back do I go? As far as the lift is. If this lift goes all the way up to the tip of the nail, that's how far back I'm going. If it's going to be another 1/4 inch here, then that's how far back I'm going. The idea is I must get all the lift up. And how I know it's lifting still is because I'm still seeing a white edge as I keep pulling back and filing. I can still see a white edge until that stops. That's how I know that it's secured. As long as I keep seeing that white edge, I know it is lifted. I'm just thinning this out here on top now because it helps you see a lift a little bit better. Now this is tricky part in filing. This is where it takes some skills filing, is to get this close and this repetition, spinning around with the drill, not to burn. It takes some skills, so just short little bursts.
That one really did lift a lot, didn't it?
Yeah, that's right. You didn't know that. It felt probably really weak and you just knew you had to get some glue under there.
Well, it's when they get to that length where when you're doing your hair gets stuck in it.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay.
Gotta get in.
Yeah, because I don't want it left in there.
Mm-hmm. No, that's not good. That's a lot of bacteria, actually. I used to work in a hair salon. And it was back in the 80s. I didn't wear my shoes half the time. I hated wearing shoes. I will sometimes leave the house and go, oh, right, I forgot to get my shoes on. That's how much I like running around bare feet. But anyway, I was walking around in either bare feet or sock feet, and the hairdressers would, no, put your shoes on. You don't want to get hair slivers. Yes. That's not good, apparently, and it can really hurt. Okay, so it looks like we're almost at the edge point. Oh, look I think we're there. I think we got there. Okay, so now how do we finish that off? I can see a little bits, and I am going to take my soft mandrel bit, and I push back the cuticle, and I'm just going to file the whole natural nail plate. There's a little bit of glue right there. I'm just going to let him buff right off. I'm just gently going back and forth on the nail plate. And any little flaky glue is now being removed. It comes off pretty easy. It's glue. It flakes right. It's dry. Okay. That was quite a lift. Get a look at that. Wow. All that was lifted off, and that's just one finger. So there you have it. Now I will go ahead and do all the rest before I fill these nails. How important that is to get all the glue off. These are yes, the after, but they're still disgustingly before. They still look bad. But this is what we need to do to prepare them before we fill them. That's how important this is. You want to take up all the glue, all the lifting product, and what we're left is this. And Liz asked an important question. She said, at what point do you just remove them all and just do a new set? Yes, you certainly could. If you were wanting some clear design through this, some see-through looks, we would take off the free edge. We would do that anyway, whether it was lifted or not. But we want to preserve as much of the nail. Sometimes people like to keep the natural nail, but it's no different here than if I formed them. But you could remove them all, but that then is a removal and a new set. So these nails are perfectly prepped for filling the nail and then going forth from there, finishing the fill. It's the end of this video, but prepped perfectly for the next one. Thanks for joining us, and I'll see you guys in the next one.